Following portion of Daytime Tri-Cities is sponsored by State of Franklin Healthcare Associates. Next month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So important to raise awareness, as we know early diagnosis is so vitally important. Mammograms are important. Do not wait. Do not put these important screenings aside. This morning we have Dr. Raymond Kohne, a radiologist with State of Franklin Healthcare Associates, to tell us more. Good morning, doctor. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Kind of talk to us about the percentages of breast cancer diagnosis.
Breast cancer is actually very common. 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer in their lifetime. So I think you and I both know, family members
Yes.
who've had breast cancers, or if you haven't had a direct family member, you know of someone who's had breast cancer. So you see it all over the place. And I think for me, one of the most important things, and you can see the graphic on the TV now, is I get this question all the time, or I get this statement all the time: Doc, I don't have to worry about it because I don't have a family history. If you look at that graph, you'll see it's a pie chart, and you'll see that the little blue area, that's about 2%. Those are the people who have genetic mutations, such as BRCA1 and BRCA2. Then the red is the family history. But if you look at that chart, 75% are sporadic. No direct family history, mother, aunt, whatever. And so you're not out of the woods. Just because you don't have a family history, you're not out of the woods. And that's where people are so mistaken. I don't have to worry about it. Yes, you do. You're still in the woods. And the whole key, like you said earlier, is early detection. That's so important.
Those mammograms. I mean, we can't put very
Correct.
priceless. You got to have them.
Absolutely.
You got to have them done.
Absolutely.
There's been legislation changed for mammograms. Talk to us about that change in legislation for mammograms.
Right. So it's kind of a fun story, because about a year and a half ago, I had a patient that came in and said, needed a breast ultrasound, actually, not just a mammogram. And she said, Doc, we're only doing the left one today. And I said, but you need both. And she goes, no, can't afford it. My insurance won't pay for it. And so that just broke my heart. And I said, we got to do something about this. So I actually called the Tennessee Radiology Society and said, guys, this is what's going on. We got to change this. And they said, yeah, I agree, but if we do this, it's going to take 2 to 3 years. I said, let's do it anyway. I don't care how long it takes. We have to fix this. They said, well, we need a sponsor. I said, well, I know the person. So I called the Johnson City Representative Rebecca Alexander. And she came over to the center, and I explained to her what the problem was. Well, she was 110% with this. She said, you know what? I'm going to take this bill to Congress. You're going to have to write it, though. I said, okay, fine. So TRS got a bunch of docs together. We made a list of the things that we wanted, but it didn't look like legislation. So I got the final list, and I said, okay, this isn't going to cut it. So luckily, I had a daughter who was a third-year law student at Belmont in Nashville. So I called her up. I said, Chris, I need help. I need to take this from medical to legalese. Can you do that?
Right.
So we spent one weekend, 3 hours. We rewrote it, and that's the bill we have today. The big changes really are that now supplemental screening, such as ultrasound or MRI, is going to be covered. Your insurance company has to cover these things now. Right. And that's what's really cool, because we didn't have that before. So that lady who came in, it may not be 100%. There may be a copay. There may be a deductible involved, but at least now insurance has to cover it. So what we really did with the TRS was redefine what imaging was, because the law was 25 years old and it needed to be updated. Right. So we included automatic breast ultrasound, all these things in there. But the real key is now that insurance companies do have to pay for supplemental screening, and that's the key.
Kudos to you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's putting action. That's putting action out there and getting things done.
Right. So it was signed into law June 1, if we could get that graphic up there.
Yeah. June 1, we got that. I think we'll have that graphic in just a moment. But I wanted to ask you, before we run out of time, when a woman is diagnosed with dense breast, what does that mean? So,
and that's another graphic. The more density you have, then the more fibroglandular tissue you have. And I tell my patients every day, the more dense tissue you have, the more lottery tickets you have to a lottery you do not want to win. And you can see there's a graph there where you can see the different densities all the way to extremely dense on the right, and you can see a bar graph on below. If you have extremely dense breast tissue, you have 5 times the risk of getting breast cancer. 5 times. So, and the mammogram doesn't show it, because cancers are white.
Right.
And the dense tissue is white. So it's a double whammy. You're at greater risk and we can't see it. And that's why that supplemental screening was so important in that legislation, because now these patients can come in and we can do the additional screening, look for those cancers. In order for me to make a difference, not a diagnosis, I need to find it the size of a marble. Right. 98% survival. If you come in with a walnut, palpable mass, it goes down to 88%. So the whole key is, like you said, early detection. Get your mammograms. If you need the ultrasound or the supplemental screening, which is now covered, okay, you need to get that too, because we can't see the cancers. Again, early detection, making a difference, not just a diagnosis.
All right, Dr. Raymond Kohne, thank you for all you've done. This is you went out and did something and got something done and accomplished, and we appreciate that.
Well,
thank you so much,
so
sir.
much.
And we'll be back. If you want more information, go to sofa.net right there on the screen. We'll be back with more Daytime coming up in just a few moments. The preceding portion of Daytime Tri-Cities was sponsored by State of Franklin